as Edie said, we prefer to dialogue. Sometimes we didn't want to come to you. Let us have a frank discussion. I believe that when it is on radio or on TV, we are unable to have that frank discussion or dialogue. And when we know what challenges we have, and we know the source of the challenges, then sometimes we can help you. But where we do not have this kind of dialogue, then you will have everybody saying whatever he wants. And I remember when I stood here last time to talk about the VRA spillage, I said, all of a sudden in Ghana, everybody is a dam specialist and knowing more than those who have managed the dam for 60 years. Yes, of course, when it comes to roads, we have a lot of specialists, but and they know how to construct roads more than us. There have been all sorts of jokes. But here we are talking about the motorway. Motorway has been around for 58 years. It was opened in 1965. And at that time, I had just, no further comments. Anyway, yes, and it has been in operation for quite a long time. And the last time I was checking, this road, apart from the fact that it has claimed a lot of lives, so the way we are talking about safety, it has also been a quagmire for some top engineers. I remember when I was probably getting to final year in the 1992-93, the chief executive of Ghana Highway Authority and I guess the deputy were they sacked by President Rawlings. They were sacked just because of motorway. I remember very clearly, it has to do with the joints at the time. He went and said, how can these joints be like that? So we need to talk. And that is why we have come here today. And I'm happy to see some senior engineers here. Engineer Dr. Adu Abedi. I was going to say Abisam. Adu Abedi, he has been Deputy Chief Executive Development. And I think Chief Executive, I don't know if he became a Chief Executive. And then we have, pardon me, somewhere else. Yes, is it Tanzania? Yeah, Tanzania, yes. And Rwanda, yes. And then we have Engineer Brock, who at one time was the Chief Director, both at the Ministry of Roads and Highways and the Office of Civil Service, the Civil Service. And of course, also a director of the Department of Urban Roads. When I was a student, I remember going to him. Then another deputy director of Urban Roads, who is currently the chairman for the Ghana Highway Authority, Engineer Ike Mensah, and the latter day saints, the chief executive of the Ghana Highway Authority, Engineer Collins, and Collins Donko is also here. So I think that we have very high-level people coming to help us in this dialogue. And for those of you who are online, we've collected a lot of questions, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get answers so that we can move on and see where the solutions lie. So on this note, I would like to welcome you again to the institution and hope that we have a very frank, and I always call it the bare knuckle discussion. So at the end of the day, we go, and when others say things that we do not appreciate, we can give them answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So right now, we would like to get down to the show itself. The way we planned it, there's going to be a showdown here. We will receive a presentation or two, and then the panel will sit, and then we can have that showdown. So the first presentation will be made by the Ghana Highway Authority, Engineer Collins Donko. I presume you would make it. So the mic is yours.
Good afternoon, seniors. That's the way I have to, because the faces I'm seeing here, I can't be talking too much about what I know if the gentlemen are here. I know they will be giving me very much. So welcome to this presentation from the Ghana High Authority. I was probably a little boy when the motorway was constructed. So I'm only getting information from the people who were there or had seen it built. I was surprised yesterday night to receive a message from my former chief executive. He said, Collins, this is how we built it. Because I wasn't there, I didn't know, and it helped a great deal. The motorway was done in 1965. Primarily, it was because the Tema Harbour has been built, and Tema itself was also growing up, and there was a lot of movement of cargo to and from the Tema port and from the industries in Tema. Knowing that the loads were going to be heavy, the proposal from the then president and his people who sat down was, okay, let's do concrete pavement. And it has become a 19.5 kilometer monument for Ghana. Somewhere in 2009, those of us, the young people who wanted to change things because we have learned something called asphalt, and we thought we could do it with asphalt, made a proposal. And I remember the deputy chief executive then, Mr. Kulu, said, Collins, you have no idea what you're talking about. It has to be concrete. And as of today, if anybody wants to do about the Nkrumah motorway, it has at least have to have the concrete. Our latest employers requirement says construct it in concrete. So it's going to be there for a long haul. But what has happened to the motorway? The motorway is stressed and distressed. We have put too much load on the motorway, and it has deteriorated to the extent that its serviceability is now completely gone. Normally, when we said, 2.5 serviceability, I think probably now we have about 0.5. It is gone. When it was constructed, it was only 3.38 million pounds. And I'm sure those who know how to do mathematics can calculate and come to this present day cost and probably says it's going to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars now. And surely it's going to be. This was how it was constructed. They put 200 millimeter thick, 8 inches of concrete, grade 3037. And then on a granular sub-base. The sub-base was just our normal gravels they compacted to the hilt. But everybody knows that corridor has a lot of black cotton clays. So in order to cushion it up, they remove some and then they put 900 millimeters of imported gravels to provide structure for it. It was also constructed of slabs 4 meters by 8 meters. So if you look at the motorway, the 2 lanes is 8 meters wide. And then the joints are spaced 8 meters. It was dowel to transfer loads from the trailing slab to the lead slabs. And then they also have tie bars. I didn't put all those joints because I know the people I'm talking to knows what we are talking about. We started seeing distresses, and Engineer Bimpot tried to allude to our debacle, the thing that hung over our heads and we haven't forgotten. In 1992, when we did a major work on the motorway, we replaced a lot of slabs. And then we replaced a lot of the jointing. We did some ray doweling. to put the motorway back into a good shape. That is what we used. That was also the time that we reconstructed the shoulders and put surface dressing on them. And it was meant not to be driven on. It was meant to be used as a park. But knowing how we behave, and I think we should stop with those behavior. Otherwise, no matter how well we build things, it will still go back to nothing in a very short time. After that construction, we did a restudy in 2001. And the study showed that the motorway was inching to its death. 70% of the entire slabs had distresses, all the kinds of distresses that we could think of. And we had estimated that about 7 years on, if we didn't do anything by 2008, we'll lose the motorway completely. Well, it took us 6 years to do some intervention. We did some slab replacements. And whilst this statement was going on as to your remaining life of 7 years, they also said that we were overloading the pavement too much. And those of you who are in plate analysis knows that if you have a slab and you overload it, it reaches its, what they call it, flexural strength, it will break. So that is exactly what is happening. We allow water to ingress through the joints because we are not repairing the joints. And then we started losing the sub-base. The sub-base started to pump. If you are on the motorway driving westwards, you hear pump, pump. That is what is called fault. That one of the slabs has depressed because the material supporting it has been washed off by the rains. So the slabs have leveled up one on top of the other. With this, it requires a lot of effort to bring the slabs back. If you want to do that, you may have to drill a hole in the lead slab and then pump grout and lift it up. So a lot of complex maintenance strategy will have to be used. So our idea was, okay, if we got to that and then the cracks have come and then the potholes have come, then let's cut some of them and then repair. So in 2006, we did replacements of additional slabs. When we lost the opportunity to do something great was when we did not take the 2001 instructions, to heart. Everybody said, oh, you can get your motorway back, please, the backslide, the one. Yes, if you try to do some of these things, you can bond the existing surface by grinding and putting a bonder, and then put only 2.5 inches of concrete on it. It's called ultra-thin white topping. That technology probably was just too far for us because even in the US, they were just also practicing it. So how were we in Ghana going to do this? So we couldn't do it. There was an additional proposal. Okay, put a partially bonded concrete, 160 millimeters. I mean, everybody going to pump concrete 160 millimeters on top of this one, and the traffic and the like. Okay, let's see what we can do. And that also went, and we didn't do much. And then they said, okay, you can put 200 millimeter bonded slab on top of the existing. I still don't understand that technology very much, but it's like, okay, you put it across the slab or you push it within the line of the slabs so that the joints come up. Some complex analysis. So we didn't do it. Then, as my professor told me, why didn't you put geogrid with asphalt? Maybe it would have solved your problems. That one, we couldn't do it. So we rode on. And in 2006, it led us to do a lot of further slab replacements. In 2009, the pothole level was such that there was hue and cry in this country. And I remember I was one of the people tagged along to go to UK to go and find epoxy mortar. You know, the Ghanaians said it was a white pavement and they won't agree for us to put anything black. It was vehement in this country. And when the political atmosphere is such that you have to do what you want, everybody acquiesced. And we went to England and bought containers worth of epoxy mortar. And we did a lot of auto patching. Now, that time in 2009, I think a square meter was about 100 cedis. I don't think probably today we can afford it. So now what we are doing is to go the traditional way. If there's too much potholes, patch it up. Use the all too well-known material, asphalt concrete. So we are using asphalt concrete to be doing the patch with such heavy loads, even on a properly constructed asphalt concrete road. If you put 13-ton axles, sometimes 15-ton axles that our drivers load up, you will have a lot of difficulties. So whilst we are putting the asphalt and trying to cool it to get its strength, the drivers are bringing their huge trucks, driving over them. So whatever we patch within a very short time either shows or the patch breaks down. And this is some of them that you see. This, please go back. You can see a fault where the motorbike is. The slab in front has depressed. So if you drove on this, you will hear the sound. And then you hit this pothole because water has ingressed and there's no more support for the concrete and it's breaking apart. Our structures, our cross-drainage structures, also built around the same time, are now seriously distressed. We have done series of repairs. As far as I know, this is about the 4th repairs we are doing on the concrete drainage structures, the Lac and other bridges. The slab is going not because of just the load, but it's also having concrete cancer. Some of the stones we use in the construction is now being attacked by its reaction with water and cement. So once you have concrete cancer, the only way out is that you'll be dead. And your death can be catastrophic. It can suddenly break. So anytime we see such things, we quickly go in there and try and do some repairs. So we've done a series of such repairs, but the bridges have, I think they finished their lifespan. In our next move, we'll have to replace all these bridges and do the motorway again. This is a sign of alkaline silica reaction. That is a concrete cancer when you see this map graph. The next one. Oh, this is just a patch integrity. Next one. Okay, this is where we're repairing the bridges. The bridges were composite. They have a steel beams with concrete deck. So we'll try and cut and put new reinforcement and then we'll cast some new concrete. The last one, we stood there until 2 a.m. to be able to cast just about this size of concrete. Next slide. So as I said, the motorway is now dead. But what are we going to do? There are a series of programs that we lined up starting to 2019 when we tried to do a PPP arrangement to rebuild the motorway. That did not work. We have gone through cycles of yellow book. It didn't work because the funding that those contractors that we selected wanted, we couldn't get it and still allow it to be operated for 30 years as a PPP arrangement. So the state now believes that, well, if we can find the money to pay somebody, then why wouldn't we do it ourselves and then collect the tools ourselves? So that is the new paradigm. And with this paradigm and looking at 62,000 vehicles per day on the existing motorway, with growth rates projected at 4% per annum, we have to expand the motorway as well. And in expansion, we are also looking at this time crossing the motorway, because it has been a barrier between the north and the south. Anybody who wants to go to the north from anywhere in the Sakumono area will have to go to Tema. If you are towards Accra, you have to go to Tetakwashi and move on. But if we can cross, we had current underpasses, which were animal crossings that we have converted into human crossings. We have to cross it at about 4 locations. So we're going to have interchanges over the motorway, and then increase the carriageway capacity, and also build at least a portion in concrete, so the existing monument will be maintained. So that is our way forward, and it is very soon. If I say soon, I mean soon. Not relative. This one, there are guns to ahead to get it soon. And that is all that the red eyes you see around is for, because everybody is taking the hammer and looking for some nail to hit. So we are doing it tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Collins. Please give him another hand. Well, at least we have some idea about the state of the motorway. Our next presentation will be from the National Road Safety Authority. So I think Mr. Waku is here to give us that presentation. I'm the only person who knows. Sorry. Okay. This is Mr. Daniel Waku. He's a director for research, monitoring, and evaluation, right? National Road Safety Authority. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon to you all. And on behalf of the Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Osafo-Adontin, I present this with an outline of a short background. We'll look at And then we look at some traffic crash statistics. We'll look at the nature of the crashes that occur on the motorway. The dominant crash types that we experience, some of the hotspots that have come about as a result of the use of the motorway. Some actions that have been taken by the National Road Safety Authority, and then the way forward. Between January and October this year, compared to the same period last year, according to the statistics provided by the Ghana Police Service, the MTTD, there have been some marginal reductions in crash indices. The cases reported saw a reduction. Vehicles involved saw a reduction. Persons killed as well saw a reduction. Persons injured again saw a reduction, as well as pedestrian knockdowns. Yes, so in terms of the cases reported, there was about 7% reduction observed, about 8% reduction as far as vehicles involved are concerned, about 7.3% reduction in persons killed, 3.3% reduction in persons injured, and 6.7% reduction in pedestrian knockdowns. Now, Greater Accra region, where the motorway lies, is among the first three regions that record about 70% of all the crashes in Ghana. That record about 70% of all the deaths that we experience on our roads. And currently, Greater Accra is leading. Greater Accra recorded the highest share of crashes, 41.7%. Fatalities, 21.7% of the national stock. Pedestrians constitute the road user group with the highest vulnerability, followed by the private car occupants. A lot of times, when we talk of road safety or road accidents, our eyes go towards commercial vehicles. Now, private vehicles, in terms of number, are getting involved in crashes more than commercial vehicles. And those are the cars you and I drive. In Accra, 88% of the motorists were traveling above the posted speed limit. There was a survey recently that established that more than 88% of motorists in Greater Accra region travel above posted speed limits. You and I are all part of it. You and I are all part of it. Yeah. So the motorway. What are some of the characteristics of the motorway? It's a fast-moving traffic that move on the motorway. The motorway is supposed to have limited access. And then it's supposed to have separate carriageways for vehicles traveling in opposite directions, and usually a total of 4 or 6 lanes. The Accra-Tema motorway is the only motorway that we have in Ghana. So it's a monument that we have to cherish. And the speed limit, according to the law, is a maximum of 100 kilometers per hour. And as stated earlier, around 70,000 vehicles use this 90-kilometer stretch every day. Now, road safety, we are coming from the behavior side, not the concrete. So what we observe, pedestrian crossings. Pedestrians are crossing the motorway every day. The use of motorcycles, they are everywhere. They are crossing from all angles. As said earlier, the pavements, the sidewalks are being used by vehicles every day. Unauthorized entry, exit, and U-turns are everywhere on the motorway. You can see some of these are here, trying to move to the other side. That is either crossing from the south to the north or from the north to the south. Then we have the distress conditions. I'm using the technical language of the engineers now. The distress condition coming up, affecting or influencing our behavior. So we can see all of this, how it affects behavior. If you talk to the heavy vehicle drivers, they use the inner lanes, even though they are slow-moving vehicles, because they say the outer lanes are more distressed than the inner lanes. And we know that the inner lane is for what? Overtaking. And therefore, if you're a small car driver, you find it sometimes annoying. If a slow-moving vehicle is in front of you using the inner, you blow your horns and you don't mind it. So these are some of the situations that we have on the motorway. Sometimes when it rains, this is what happens, flood. It floods the motorway. In the night, you and I are witnesses. These are heavily pedestrian-infested areas, and there are no street lights. Pedestrians that are not in bright colors or reflective attires, before you realize you are on them. And this is an area of what? High speed. You can see or imagine the mixture. This is the motorway without markings. Difficult to use when it rains in the night, even during the day. Unauthorized vehicles are found using the motorway. These people are everywhere. Yes. We are all witnesses to incidents like this. If you go to Tema end of the motorway in the evenings, heavy-duty vehicles loaded are parked alongside the motorway, exactly where they are not supposed to be. They bring a whole lot of inconveniences, putting a whole lot of road users at risk. So we have these unauthorized parkings and wrongful abuse of the inner lane, as I said earlier on. So what are the dominant crash types that we experience on the motorway? Usually it's a runoff, vehicles runoff. Then we have rear end collisions, that's vehicle running into the vehicle ahead of you. We have hit objects. The toll booths, for example, vehicles run into the toll booths. Pedestrian knockdowns are also equally there. At the bottom of all this is speeding or inappropriate speeding. They are the results of the runoff. or the main result of the runoff, the main result of the rear end collision, the main result of what the hit object and the pedestrian knockdown. So these are some of the things that we experience when such incidences occur. This is a runoff. This is another runoff that has landed the bus in the ditch, the gutter. This is an articulator that has crossed the motorway to the other side. So it is possible to have a head-on collision on the motorway. Yes, it is very possible. All right. So what are the hotspots? The motorway runabout that is coming from the Tema end is one of the hotspots of crashes that we experience on the motorway. We have the Mane Junction as another hotspot developing. Community Eating Junction is another hotspot. Adekojo, underbridge section of the motorway, as well as the Ashiaman underbridge section of the motorway. All these areas are hotspots because there is heavy pedestrian movement across the road. What are some of the interventions that were done by the NRSC? For us, we continue to do the engagement, the education, the awareness creation as to how best to use the motorway. Our interactions with heavy-duty truck drivers always point to the fact that the inner lane is for overtaking and the outer lane is for slow-moving vehicles. The police are always with us. We do joint enforcement activities. I remember when I was the Greater Accra Regional Manager in 2013, I think in the company of Engineer Collins. I remember, and the police that time, Tawuni. Yes, we did some operation to arrest some drivers that were unlawfully entering or exiting the motorway. So these are some of the activities that we undertake along the motorway. Recently, we have installed a speed detection camera to inform you of your speed as you apply the motorway. So the speed at which you are traveling will show on the screen as your. If you are not able to watch your speed on your speedometer, at least there's something to inform you. This one, still, it depends on you, the driver, to do with whatever information you have been able to pick from here. Yes, so it's not an enforcement intervention though, but to inform you that you are going at this particular speed. If you are above the 100 kilometers speed, it shows red. But if you are below the 100 kilometers, it shows green. The National Road Safety Authority, also in collaboration with the Ghana Red Cross Society, have a first aid booth at the Accra end of the motorway. The idea is to provide first aid emergency services to victims of crashes. That's the idea. It's not currently fully functional, but the idea is there, and I'm sure sooner or later we shall reignite the intervention to serve its original purpose. The National Road Safety Commission became an authority in 2019 with a law, Act 993. And earlier this year, the LI to the Act 993 has also been passed in Parliament. And in the LI, National Road Safety Authority is also expected to conduct road safety audits on existing and new roads, newly constructed roads. This is supposed to be done in conjunction with the road agencies. The National Road Safety Authority is also just bringing on another layer to ensure that the roads that we fly on are safe for road users in the country. These are some of the things and new additions that are going to come, even though not fully operational. In the near future, we are going to go into that direction. Way forward. For us at National Road Safety Authority, let me use that one as my personal view. As it stands now, I wish that the motorway be reclassified, not as a motorway, because its current function does not really suit the word or the term motorway. So if we reclassify the motorway as a highway or maybe an urban road, then those safety features or infrastructure that are needed to protect lives on the road will be provided. We also want to ensure that enforcement of all road traffic regulations on the motorway, like speed limits, axle load, unauthorized vehicles, and authorized distance, be put in place. This is the responsibility of the police in a way. The National Road Safety Authority is there to support this action for it to see its fruition. Then we'll call on the road agencies. A lot of times people think it's even the responsibility of the National Road Safety Authority. When you go to them, right now if you go to the lorry station to engage the transport operators, they don't even want to listen to us because they said when you came last year, we told you to go and fix this road. They have not fixed it. If you don't fix it, don't come and talk to us. So we are appealing to the road agency. We know the challenges that we are facing, but at least let us also hear sometimes something from your side, just to give us some hope or to give the Ghanaians some hope that something is being planned to be done. And then effective and continuous road safety education will always come from the National Road Safety Authority. This is an example of the motorway in Dakar. And I am happy when I heard Mr. Engineer Collins saying that the reconstruction of the motorway is soon. And he didn't say that it was soon only once, so he said it about 5 times. Tomorrow, we are there tomorrow. We are there. Exactly. Exactly, it will come, it will come. I want to believe that it will come. And I hope that when it is reconstructed, then it could also be what? Enclosed. So that it doesn't become a free for all for people to use. Engineering can seriously or very much influence behavior. So if you use the engineering measures, our behavior can be greatly influenced. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Waku. Can we hear it again for that? Thank you. When we were planning this activity, we had 3 main objectives. The first one was to get engineers, especially the senior engineers, to come together, to come and think about pertinent issues. I think we have achieved that. When I look at the people here, I, for one, am very happy that that objective has been achieved. The second objective was to bring those who know what is happening to come and tell us the state of affairs. The Ghana Highway Authority has been here, have told us about the technical state of the motorway. The Road Safety Authority has also come to tell us about some of the consequences of that state of the motorway. Now, the third objective was to create the opportunity for those of us who are interested in seeing something done, to have the opportunity of, let me just use the word, interrogating the officials so that they tell us more about what has been planned. The tomorrow that is coming, what actually is in that tomorrow? We really want to know. So the second stage of this interaction is to have a panel discussion where we will invite authorities of the Ghana Highway Authority, the National Road Safety Authority, the Building and Road Research Institute. It's still an institute. It hasn't gone to authority or anything else. Okay. From Kumasi to come. And also, we will also ask a representative from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service. So we think these four form enough of the representation of those who can do something about this thing for us. So I would kindly ask, I presume Engineer Donko, you will sit in as GHA for us. Thank you, sir. Mr. Daniel Waku, National Road Safety. Dr. Francis Akwa, when I knew him, he wasn't doctor, but now he's a very big man. He's from the VRI. And then he's William, oh, okay. And then our brother from the police, he will introduce himself when he comes. I don't want to make any mistake. Thank you, sir. So, gentlemen, if you could please step up, then take your seats. Then let's have a chit chat. Pass it around. So what will happen is, if any member of the audience wants to ask a question, you just signal, we'll give you the microphone, then you will ask, and then the answer will come. But we need to ask MTTD to introduce himself. I don't know the ranks.
Yes, Lieutenant Bruce Samuel, the Maritime TTD Commander.
Thank you. And the motorway is within your jurisdiction, right?
Sure.
Yes, sir, you're welcome. So who would like to open the floor, please? Everybody's talking about the motorway. The chance has come. Okay.
Thank you very much, Civil Division Chair. My question is, currently, the situation on the motorway can be described as chaotic. How do we take away that chaos? That's my son.
Who is addressed?
Road Safety and Probably Police. Thank you very much, Engineer Collins. Engineer Collins mentioned that the motorway is going to be probably reconstructed or rehabilitated very soon. But then we were very low on the engineering interventions that you're going to put in, especially with what the Road Safety Authority has said. Is it possible to give us some highlights of what interventions in terms of number of lanes, are there going to be crossings and all that? Yes, thank you.
One more question.
I know that a lot of Ghanaians clamor for dual carriageways. And sometimes I shudder. Why? Because the most popular one we have is the least safest road, and that's the motorway. Do we have any statistics as to how many lives are lost on the motorway every year? Because until we change the behavior, like the drivers, the heavy trucks driving in the passing lanes, people entering or whatever, if we create more dual carriageways in the country, we're just going to keep killing our people. But I would very much interested in the statistics, the motorway in particular, as to how many lives we lose every year on the motorway, and probably to guide us in the future development of dual carriageways in the country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And when it comes to the statistics on the motorway, I think maybe I will be send that one to either Dr. Aka or the MTTD. But speaking about the dual carriage or the wish for dual carriages in Ghana, until recently, Eastern region, even though records about 16–18% of the crashes in the country, was recording about 18–19% of the fatalities at the same time. Greater Accra records about 45% of crashes and produces about 20% of the fatalities. So you realize that in Eastern region, the few crashes that occur are fatal crashes. People die in them. And what was the main reason? The main reason was head-on collisions. And where were these head-on collisions occurring? Now I'll stop there and take another leg. Eastern region has dropped from the first position to the third position because of the opening of the Sawam Apempwa Junction dual carriage, Apejwa dual carriage. This time we don't hear crashes occurring along that line. If you also take your mind to Nkoko, the bypass, hardly do we experience crashes on the bypass. So with this, even though it's not yet backed by scientific studies, people are calling for the introduction or the construction of more dual carriageways. So I will also go for a dual carriageway, even though the motorway is one of the most dangerous roads that we have in the country. Hardly do we experience head-on collisions. Now, head-on collisions generate a lot of fatalities, especially when it involves high occupancy vehicles, which we have all the time on our roads. Now, the motorway is chaotic. I agree with you. But I was saved by the president, the question he asked next. What are the engineering interventions that the new motorway is bringing to us? Yes, but let me give you another example. Between Achimota and Ofanko, when was the last time you have heard that there was a crash on that? Because engineering has solved the problem of pedestrians crossing the road. There is no access for pedestrians. So if engineering interventions can be provided in such a way that they can really regulate or control the behavior of people, you can have a smooth use of the motorway. So I will still go back to what the president said. What are the engineering interventions that are planned for the motorway? If that one is put in place, we'll have a less chaotic use of the motorway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me try to answer the question on whether there is available data. Yes, we have available data on road traffic crashes nationally, and we can do what we call the kilometer analysis along a route to find out the number of crashes occurring on a particular road and even on the particular spots. And so data is available. Currently, from the statistics we have, you have about 3 people dying from road traffic crashes on the motorway every month, right? So we have about 36 persons dying as a result of road traffic crashes just on the motorway. So that's the data statistics available.
Per kilometer, 2 people die.
So I think it's about 19.3 kilometers. So if you do the mathematics, yeah.
2 people die. Okay.
Yes.
Which other road in Ghana is anywhere?
Usually, the motorway will have the highest traffic volume, and the traffic volume is an exposure to the number of crashes which occurs. If you have more vehicles, you expect to have more accidents occurring. And just taking the route, still, it will be the motorway just because you have more vehicles traveling and people have the higher exposure of being involved. Let me also look at the chaotic situation we are looking at. If you look at the highway capacity manual, they talk about interrupted and uninterrupted flow facilities. Highway is supposed to, the motorway or the expressway is supposed to be part of the uninterrupted flow facility, which means that phased assets like traffic lights, for instance, is not supposed to be on a motorway. Elsewhere, you don't even have traffic lights on a freeway. Accesses are controlled to just on and then off ramps, some specially designed ones where you cannot have a motorway where you have people crossing at any point. I agree with most of the things Mr. Welby said. We did some work on lane flow distribution. And, on the motorway, we're supposed to have the keep right rule. But what we found out when we did the lane flow distribution is that 56% of vehicles are using the inner lane, which is not supposed to be done. Accesses are not controlled. And so for me, I agree when he said we needed to declassify the motorway. As it stands now, it's not a motorway. On a motorway, on a freeway, you are supposed to maintain a certain level of speed. In Germany, for instance, if I should on the motorway, if you don't have the variable speed limit system, there's no speed limit on it. You can travel as high as your vehicle can take you. But what is happening here is not a motorway, and so we may need to declassify or do the right thing, do the construction, block all the accesses, and then have just some special control on and then off ramps to the motorway. Thank you.
I wish to talk on the enforcement. We all know encroachment on the motorway is making enforcement very, very difficult. Right from Accra-Tema to Tamatoput, if you should count the number of U-turns, unauthorized U-turns that have been made into the motorway from both sides, it's uncountable. Activities of drivers on the shade of the motorway is also becoming a difficult problem. So we try to enforce laws on the motorway, but as it stands now, the motorway has become a nuisance. And as such, the activities of motorists, pedestrians, and then human activities even along the motorway makes it quite difficult for enforcement. But that notwithstanding, we are doing our best. But I think until a new face is given to the motorway, enforcement cannot see the best light. So let's all agree on the upgrading of the motorway. Thank you.
Well, that one, as for enforcement, I think the police is here, so I won't say too much. I wanted the gentleman to show us a proposed cross-section that we intend to put on the motorway. We discussed service roads and the main freeways. And this time, the approach is, if you are doing service roads, get the service roads closer to the people. I can see how service roads should be part of the main carriage system. And then somebody says, I want to get out. And then he stops on the motorway and try to cross. So we have detached. We still have a lot of space on the motorway. That was probably the only thing that we were able to preserve on the motorway, our reservation. There are some encroachments here and there, but largely we still have our land. So we are going to use 90 plus width of the corridor, expand the main carriageways, and then put the service roads very close to the properties. So those who slips out from the main carriageway would have a difficulty coming back because we're going to do a lot of protection. The first level of protection is we're going to put at least 8 footbridges for people to be able to cross from one end to the other. And looking at a 90-meter footbridge is not just an easy task, but that is what it has come up to. We're also going to, this time, fence it. I heard there was fencing when I was a kid, or when I came to the system, they said there was a fence, but and telephones. Okay, so this is the history we lost. But we are bringing up, we are going to make it a little bit more difficult, unless probably you want to try your luck with hard body collision. You don't want to cross the current motorway proposals we intend to do, because there's going to be a jersey barrier on one side of the carriageway, let's say westbound, and going to be a crash barrier on the other side. And then we have physical fence of the motorway, and there's going to be a carbon sink made up of a forest that will have to grow. We did it before, people cut it. This time you can't cut it because it's going to be protected. And so these are the features that are coming in, more to the point of providing adequate safety for the motorway. It's also going to have a more robust streetlight system. I think we have been too soft with the kind of streetlights we put. Somebody's car is going into a ditch and he wants to use my lamp post as a chalk. Ghana people call it chalk. And excuse me to say, our brothers from the other side won't even report that anything was damaged when an accident occurs, except the vehicles and the people who had injuries. We don't have records of collisions into appurtenances. There's no record. So if you go and see, you either have to find the money to repair it, and the money is not just available. The motorway bridges, if you look, if you put a crash barrier to protect people from falling in, its lifespan is 3 days. If you leave it without putting anything there, nobody falls in. So we don't know what to do. And it's not cheap. So if somebody crashes into it, the law says that that person shall compensate the road authority for that. We don't have the records. No accident had reported any damage to the road surface, spillage, whatever, fire burning. Last 2 months ago, somebody wanted to burn the Dubai interchange. It's a massive burn marks on the concrete battlement. Nobody knows who did it. So whilst going forward, whilst we are making all these proposals, the maintenance of them is another part. We recently, no, 2020, it's not that recent, we commissioned the Motorway Phase 1 project. We fenced it. Intersection itself, the whole intersection was fenced. We put roller crash barriers. We put our normal W-beam crash barriers. We put street lights, very expensive street lights. 10 out of these street lights have been knocked off and is at Tema, MTTU to deal with it. The crash barriers have been crashed into it. There are cameras. Even our generator has been stolen. There is a 3-meter cable that is just outside the conduit to provide lighting to the street light system that we have. It has been cut 5 times, just 3 meters of even copper wire, 3 meters. So if you get there, they said, oh, the authorities didn't put light. The motorway street lights, when I was, when Doctor was the chief, I don't think there was any street lights on the motorway. It was 2001 that we started. And we put some long poles, we couldn't put the lamps. Then subsequently, we did 2006, we put a new street light system. It all went away, they disappeared. And then another one was done. And if you recall, it was on the 6th March, President Mahama was angry that such installation had been vandalized. We have done it again. It was commissioned 2 years ago. I want anybody to tell me that you can count six on the motorway. So I'm sure we don't like street lights on the motorway. Thank you.
Seems to me that the first three questions have been adequately responded to. So we'll start the next one.
Can I follow up on my question?
Okay, sir.
Because I'm talking about the current situation and what we can do now. I know that your designs are fantastic. And so people should continue to die.
We are starting tomorrow.
And the development will take a bit of time. If we have to declassify the motorway, who does that? Let's do something now. The thing is, how do we protect the public? We can't wait for the road to be completed. What do we do tomorrow to protect people who live along the motorway, who may be using the motorway? Those are the things I'm looking at. What can we do?
I guess was asked for.
And that is, so the first question or the first suggestion I made, who declassifies the motorway? Because as it is now, if we've lost control of the pedestrians, we've lost access control, we've lost it. It cannot be a motorway. It cannot function as a motorway. The facility cannot be used as it should be used as a motorway. The pavement is gone. You can't drive on the overtaking lane. You can't use that as an overtaking lane. All those issues are there. So this cannot be a motorway. So the first suggestion is let's declassify it. Who does that? Let's find out who is responsible for declassifying the motorway. Because the police is saying that they cannot control the pedestrians and the chaos on the motorway. So let's declassify it, make it a safer place until the new fantastic designs we have. And I think the designs are ready, so probably the construction is what we are waiting for.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow.
Well, I don't think in our system there is a procedure for declassification of a hierarchy of a road, and I'm sure that probably will be some of the things we will have to do quickly. But the point is, if we say there is a system and then we declassify this road and say it's no more a highway, it is a street. Come again. It will not stop the users from the way they use it. Nothing is going to change. No, let me finish this point. The people who cross the motorway would cross unless we build something like a footbridge and then constrain them to use the footbridge. And that is exactly what we intend to do with the construction. The people who are speeding, I technically can stop them. They know there is potholes. And sometimes you see people driving on this road, they know how bad it is, but would ignore all. It's sometimes baffling. I don't get it. So are we going to conscientize the people by education to say, okay, there's no more a motorway, so drive carefully? Maybe we could try that approach. No, no, that one, I think road safety is saying that it will tell you how your speed is. Okay, I think. But are you sure the sign is there? The sign was knocked off a long time ago.
Yes. Well, then the warning signs will be there.
this is an 80-kilometer speed limit or something. But we have to do something. We have to protect lives. We cannot wait until our fantastic new motorway is up there. The motorway needs to be declassified.
Yeah, so the Road Traffic Act says that on the motorway, the maximum speed limit is 100 kilometers per hour. If you come to the highways, it says 90 kilometers per hour for private vehicles, and for big vehicles like the buses and then the heavy goods vehicles, it's 80 kilometers per hour. And in settlement areas, so it depends on how you classify it. From what Mr. Nyako showed, for instance, the vehicle was traveling at 103 kilometers per hour. And the idea is that I'm on a motorway where high speeds is allowed. And so let me travel at the high speed. So we can do something if immediately we cannot restrict accesses to the expressway. That's what I think.
Let me just add something to what my colleagues have said. Yes, the National Road Safety Authority, we shall continue our sensitization. We have different groups of people that we engage to discuss road safety issues with. As I said earlier, heavy goods vehicle operators. The transport operators like GPRTU and Motorway and others are our key stakeholders. We meet them all the time at various fora. And then we continue our engagement. We are even, for example, approaching Christmas season. We are even meeting leaders of the religious bodies. This is a season where conventions are everywhere. So there is a plan. We are meeting them on Thursday, for example, to engage them to practice safety. We have even developed a road safety guidebook for religious bodies. It's all about being road safety conscious and ensure that when you are out there in the name of God, you still practice safety, because I don't think God is going to come down to practice the safety for you. Yes, I believe that if the road is declassified, then whatever safety furniture goes with those declassification will come with it. So as you are saying right now, what do we do? If we do the reclassification, then if there's a need for a traffic light, because it's no longer a motorway, then it will provide it to protect lives on the road. Thank you.
I just want to ask Collins a question. We've talked about all the difficulties, the problems that we have. Are we going to leave the new design and manage it the same way as before? Are you going to put street lights, knowing very well that the next morning there'll be no change in management? That is my point. We can, I mean, how can somebody go and set fire to a wall and 24 hours later we can't find such a person because our generator has been stolen? Are we always going to put a generator there for it to be stolen? There must be a change in management. We can't do things the same way and expect different results.
Yes. Colleagues, let us face up to the fact that the number one problem is indiscipline. You know, we can make all the investments, and the investments will be nullified if we cannot raise the level of discipline. Maybe we need the discussion on how do we maintain at least certain minimal level of discipline, you know, along maybe not just the motorway. It's a general problem in the country. At least on the motorway, it is focused. And we at least try to maintain some discipline. We just focus on it. In fact, maybe if we're able to do it on the motorway, it may give us ideas for other parts of the country, the things that we can do. If we don't solve that problem, I'm afraid that
all the investments will just go to naught. And I think we've heard some of that already. So maybe the MTTU, the police, and so on, can we put our minds together? How do we reduce the level of indecent?
Let me add quickly to what Nigel said. Maybe we have to increase police visibility along sections of the road to maybe beef up the security and then improve the security that we are talking about. So when we get there, we can discuss that one as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Inspector Temeka with the regional MTT Accra-Tema. The motorway a few years back didn't experience any shoulder driving. It started when pedestrians were have been crossing at the Manet side, the 18 side, and then the Ashaiman side. So what can we do differently this time as we await the construction? We can fix maybe just metal pedestrian crossings for them. This is even preventing people who work in Tema getting to work very late. And you see a lot of people driving on the shoulder of the road just to beat the traffic situation. And these potholes that we are talking about, we just have to fix it. And it is causing lots of accidents. That is where Mr. Engineer Donko met me at the Togo the other day. I was telling him a lot of things we need to do. Now, there's no money, but we have to find this money and sort these potholes. Lakpalakpala is now the death trap. The vehicles get there, they have some form of damage on their tires. So when they move towards 18 junction, either they get a tire burst or anything and they veer off to hit other vehicles. Then when we closed the toll booth, it was an unfortunate situation, very unfortunate. We lost more than 25 lives at that session. And we don't want the same thing to be repeated. The various trucks that load to our neighboring countries, Burkina, Mali, and Niger, I keep asking my boss that what benefits do we get from these people for them to risk us this way? And these people are supervised to load. Let's not pretend as if we don't know what they are doing. We all know what they are doing and what damage they are causing to our country. If they are weighed and the custom officer or the police officers there inspect whatever weigh results they have, a tracker is fixed on the vehicle. So if you don't see that result, why do you fix a tracker on your vehicle? So those people, they now come and park at a toll booth. So when my boss took over, he said to me, let's sack these people from this place. So if you realize the toll booth, you don't have any truck parked at the toll booth again. It is someone's decision to do this. So one person can also start somewhere, and then now they are parked along the Valco road. How do we get them off? Do we even have a space to go and park them when we arrest them? No, we don't. And these trucks, they don't enter Burkina that way. Whoever tells you that is lie. They get to Paga and they park, offload the goods onto various vehicles before they enter Burkina. So why are we tolerating them in Ghana? And they have caused damage to our roads. Recently, I heard in Tamale, their overhead is sinking or whatever it is. Why are we doing this to ourselves? So we need to start somewhere. And the action must be done now because you don't know who is going to use the motorway and the next moment you are gone. So please, the discipline, we will try hard to enforce discipline on the road, but the interventions must come. Your generator and other things that were stolen. It is something else. the initial plan should have been solar or something of that sort. So that, and then you see even the underpass, the tunnel. The light in the tunnel is not even bright. It's not that bright. So you see a lot of them with junkies, they sleep there. So whose responsibility is it to sack those junkie boys? At night, they will get up and come and steal your battery. It's not only the generator, the battery is also at it. They take all these things and go and sell because they are comfortable in the tunnel. It's another institution's job to go and sack these people from those places. So I will try and do our best. As we speak, we are in your hands. So you just sort the portal for us. And then the people will not drive on the shoulder because the road is good. They all move. And then the pedestrian walkway, so a temporal one, will help us. Thank you very much.
May I just take the opportunity? I haven't heard anybody talking about immediate steps we can take. I haven't heard anybody talking about science. The motorway has been devoid of science ever since I can remember. Now that we know it's not a motorway, why can't we want people to slow down? It's not safe, so that at least they know. Because if they don't have any science and they get on the motorway, they think that is perfect, especially for the first-time user. And then he goes as fast as he can. Maybe we could start immediately by putting signs at various points, warning people, slow down, the road surface is bad or whatever. It can kill you. It might help. I was just thinking about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe that this meeting is right on time. Because where we are now, we are in the House of Engineers. And most of the issues which has been tabled here are engineering orchestrated ones. So therefore, I challenge our engineers to at least come out with certain solutions for us as quickly as possible. Concerning the issue or the points being raised by our security force or the policeman, I'm a bit alarmed because if jockeys are sleeping under overheads or tunnel, and then the security officer is telling us whose responsibility is it, then are we safe? Hello? Motor traffic. Then if I still part of the police force. Okay, so secondly, you realize that if MTTD gets you on the road, they normally check your roadworthiness and what have you. If you are faulty, they charge you, right? But the question is the motorway ready for our cars? Hello? See, these are some of the issues that we need to at least balance. The road as we speak now is a death trap. Thankfully, we're going to commence tomorrow, but it's going to travel for 3 years. The question that the ED was asking was, or his concern was, the low-hanging fruits. Now we are tapping into the engineering aspect. Engineers, please come out with the proposals. It is about time we go to practicality aspect of these issues. The talk shows are becoming too many. Let's challenge ourselves that indeed we have the men in the country. Hello? So please, it's happening right under the roof of engineers. And my good brother is here, the president and what have you. We salute you so very much. And thank you for calling for this meeting. But we want at the end of this meeting, there must be solution to this. Secondly, or thirdly, the inner road, what are the usage? It seems most of the populace doesn't know what exactly the inner roads, what is the service of the inner road and outer road. If you can at least educate us a little bit, and whose responsibility is it to educate the public? Fourth, road marking. Whose responsibility is it? Now we are getting into the Harmattan season. The folks will start, what they call it, showing up very soon. Most of our aged fathers or mothers and what have you can't see that far. So if the road markings are not too good, it becomes difficult for them to drive. Whose responsibility is it So these are some of the issues. Let's find lasting solutions to some of these issues whilst we are here, so that at least we can come out with recommendation and present it to government and follow up, making sure that the low-hanging fruit has been taken care of. Whilst they are taking care of the, how do you call it, the 3 years plan, let's be fixing the immediate ones so that we can save life and property. Because man-hour spent on the motorway is becoming unbearable. Thank you very much.
My name is Kwaku Chumesi. I want to ask about the axle loading control system on the road, the motorway, whether it's effective. Because sometimes you're following a vehicle and you realize that no, this one there is beyond the loading. So how effectively are we monitoring the axle loading on our roads? That is my first question. And then, Engineer Collins, when you're making your presentation, you did mention the ASR reaction on some of our concrete. I don't know the contribution that the BRRI is making to this new construction, whether they are helping us to, avoid some of these reactions in our future construction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, we will concentrate on the low-hanging fruits. And if you recall, in the last 2-3 months, we have been on the motorway, try to do some patching. Due to the reaction of the concrete to the weather, the alkaline silica reaction effect is very high. So the potholes just come. We did 300 square meters of patching 2 months ago. Now we have another 180 square meters generated. So it's like there's a tap opening, and once you pour water, it's like a sieve. So we are doing the very best. And if you recall, not many works are going on currently with our contractors because of payment issues. So even the asphalt manufacturing is limited. So we hear this contractor is doing asphalt, and then we rush there, then they give us some, and then we come and patch. We can't manage, the authority can't manage asphalt. So our mobile maintenance gang from Sumu will be imported, and then they will go and get asphalt from Simin, go and get asphalt from Maripoma, and then they will go and patch. So we are coming back within a very short time before the Christmas, do especially the stretch to the Tema, because the westbound is somehow in some good shape. The proposal will be, once the contractor comes to work tomorrow, it will start some management of the existing service, because once the project is handed over, we want somebody to pass the bulk to somebody with some deep pocket who can do something for us. So they will be managing the alignment as we go forward. Then the shoulders. Shoulders were made of surface treatment, and as far back as 1993, it has survived. Trust me, it has survived. Even the concrete design, the surface dressing won't survive the heavy punishment that we receive. So in the next project, our shoulders will be made of asphalt concrete. And that one, we think it will, if we decide not to drive on it, but use it to park or offload 1 or 2, it will survive. But once we turn it into another lane, because there's a small traffic block somewhere, elsewhere, you jump the queue, you are dead. You roll over a stop sign, and you'll be punished. So there's no way anybody can do anything if there is no check for that person. Misbehavior is part of human being. We will misbehave. Even in classroom, you see the people who sit down with the old set. That is part of us. But then when you didn't sit down, the teacher came, you get some 2 lashes. So the lashes must be enforced. Get the people to pay for the crimes they commit. And that one will reduce offenses. Because otherwise, there's nothing we can do. We'll put giant tower street lights. They will go and steal the cables anyway. So it will not solve the problem.
Yes, I want to talk about the use of the inner and outer lane. You did ask whose duty or responsibilities to educate the drivers. In fact, I want to make it clear to you that almost every driver in Ghana knows the use of the inner and the outer lane. You'll be educating them. They chose to use the inner lane just because the outer is more damaged. The outer lanes of the motorway are very much damaged, and they know when they use the tires of their vehicles will get spoiled. So they intentionally use the inner lane. You see a heavy truck that cannot move using the inner lane. And it is because the outer lane of the motorway is damaged. If all
drivers slow down, truck drivers slow down to load and then offload passengers. You have Abubuya, which are traveling at low speeds on those lanes. And so trucks who would want to avoid interaction with those vehicles will prefer to be in the inner lane instead of being in the outer lane where a truck driver will be slowing down and then trying to load and then offload passengers and then getting back onto the main road. And so if I'm a truck, if I am a bus driver, if I'm a truck driver and I want to avoid those interactions, I would be in the inner lane. So it all boils down to a discipline in the first place and the motorway not functioning as it is supposed to be. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. For just a mere infraction as the use or the abuse of the inner lane, if a policeman arrests a driver, you can as you cannot imagine where a call will come from to that policeman to release the driver to go. Yes, that is the reality. For me, I think that, I'm sorry, but we have become a lawless country. Everything goes and anything goes. And where we see these examples are mostly, or one of the easiest places we see these examples is on the road. I can give you an example. One time I was traveling, I was moving towards a bridge. I got to a traffic light, Pantan Junction traffic light. So if those of us going to bridge, if the red comes, the next one is a green to Pantan. So this vehicle in front of me, a BMW car. So we were slowing down to stop behind the vehicles that have stopped for the red. So this guy moved into the Antan by the pass, the slipway. He got to the junction and then continued to bring. And I was there. What an impudence. That's because you can, we think you cannot spend, what's the second number of seconds? Just a minute at the red. So that's how the country has become. Indiscipline has really crept into every aspect of our life, and road use is not an exception. So it boils down to the individual. The police inspector just gave an example where the mere decision by one person has improved the safety of road users at the end of the motorway. And therefore, what can the individual do? We all know we have the civic responsibility. And I don't think we have to wait for some law enforcement from somewhere before we start obeying the laws of the country. We have that civic responsibility. And if those of us sitting in this forum here and those online can take it upon ourselves to be the first implementers of this civic responsibility, I think we are starting somewhere and we can get somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have an online audience, please, and the next set of questions, we would like to pick it from the online so they have the opportunity to contribute, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Engineer Kanidu. We'll have some 3 questions. Start with them.
Hello, Engineer KDL. Please, you can ask a question.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you very much indeed. My name is KD Lai. My first question is about what steps those in charge will take to ensure that the street lighting infrastructure is not damaged, stolen, or vandalized. There are physical things that can be done, and there are electrical engineering, electronic engineering things which can be done. One thing I find very sad about my country is the design is done, a price is obtained, and then they come and ask us, what should we have done? The price has already been obtained. It's not going to change. So we should try, before we do the design, we have to abandon our silo mentality. All engineers come on board. This is what we want to do. The second item is, if you see somebody damaging road infrastructure, say we should report. Where do we report to? I'm on my way. Is there a number? Is there a hotline? There's no hotline. I mean, you are very upset at what has happened. I've been behind trucks which have spilled concrete on the road, and I'm livid. But what do I do? So these are things which we should take. These are low-hanging fruits. And the last question is, in the new design, how are we going to prevent unauthorized entries and exits? You can build the Berlin Wall. Anybody who is going to pass the street in front of Kaneshi Market, we should look at how people with heavy loads on their heads scale that barrier and go on to the other side of the road. Anything we're doing here must be advised by the way our people behave. I'll end with what Chris told me in secondary school. If a man behaves like a horse, ride him. So if people are misbehaving, treat them like animals. I'm sorry, but that's what maybe we deserve. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, there's this suggestion that I have made in the past, and I know I've even done a presentation on it before. I did a paper, roadside furniture, especially with the crash barriers, which are damaged, and you never get to know those who damaged them, including street lights and all. Yeah, but you know that we have, all vehicles are supposed to have insurances, one way or the other, whether it's comprehensively insured or third-party insurance. And my suggestion is that we have to take it up seriously with the National Insurance Commission and ask that they provide some funding for such infrastructure when they are destroyed. Because at the end of the day, if there's no crash barrier and the vehicle runs off, people are going to get their vehicles either damaged or die, and it comes back to them. In the same way, if we don't have street lights, the road is dark, any accident will come back to them for compensation. So this is something that we need to take seriously with them, not only to be when the accident has already occurred, before they deal with the individuals. And the police, we used to have one, of course, I was working on the South Road for a time. There was one police officer at mile 7. In Young College, I guess you remember, I used to always worry when you were at Greater Accra. And this gentleman would always call. And yes, the question that Chief Inspector Amu is now on retirement. He would always call and tell you, this has happened, please come. Then we'll go. And they'll surcharge the cost of repair, and then they pay. So if we have effective systems like this, it is going to help. The second one, and this is something that I saw in Prague a very long time ago when I was a student and visited that country, well, that city, for a very short length of running, and I had never seen that before. They have a whole maintenance unit responsible for, I think that it was only probably 30 or 40 kilometers road. And there was a whole maintenance unit responsible for the maintenance of the road. Why can't we do that? Because we put up very nice infrastructure. And look, I've worked on the focus interchange, and it pains me so much. It pains me so much when I see the state in which, after 3 years, what is happening there. And I'm always going, around as if we're working in the, in the Ministry of Roads, or for that matter, the Department of Environment. Oh, you're here? Yeah, I'm in Shallow. I didn't know you were here. Well, they are here. And I know I've been following up on this. Last year, something was done. And now all the street lights, well, you shouldn't say all, most of the street lights are off. This used to be the centerpiece. It was so nice. People come from all sorts of countries to come and have a look at it. The place is so weedy. Some of our joints are going off. And very soon, we'll be talking about it just the same way we are talking about the motorway. So please, we should take care of maintenance. And yeah, let me end here.
Good afternoon. I think we've been talking about road safety and road usage and all the people who use the road. But I think that pedestrians are also a core group of people who also use the road. Do we have any rules to manage the pedestrians, those who do jaywalking, crossing anywhere, anyhow? Is there any way we can look at that? Because that will help. I mean, my brother was talking about indiscipline. If we succumb and say we are reclassifying the motorway because gotten out of hand, we have not been able to manage it, are we always going to go through that route and allow people to misuse
moving from Tema into Accra, the need to look at the impact of such a change on the whole network is extremely important. So I would rather suggest that we keep our motorway as motorway and then do everything possible to make sure it is fit for purpose. Thank you.
I have a suggestion. Mine is not a question, it's only a suggestion. You know, most highway authorities or road authorities, especially in developing countries, are going to a higher level where they have an incident management system. We will not, I mean, I know in South Korea, they've done it for the entire network. Ghana, it might be too much for us to start. But if we're going to spend 388 million building an 18-kilometer motorway, which has been giving us so many problems, why can't we set up? Why? Excuse me? No. The motorway is 19.
No. He's correct.
No. What I mean is, what is the distance between Accra and Tema? It's 19. If you're looking at cost and you're multiplying the number of lanes, then that's a different issue. But what I'm saying is that this is a very short stretch of road. Why can't we, as part of this project, set up an incident management system for this motorway, and probably we can replicate. And then if people steal lights, we can find them. But we cannot continue to wallow, do like Mr. Jima said, doing the same things that we do. We put them there, they steal them. You know, the motorway got a re-injection of lights when former President Rollins had an accident there, and lights were put in. And so we're always waiting for some sort of major incident to happen, and then we're running. So we become very reactive. But if we have this management system, a central management system, we can, it doesn't matter whether the guy runs into the pole 1 week later, we'll find them. Or even if we don't find them, the vehicle, go to license and then get them the owner. You don't care who was driving. The owner can be surcharged. So what I'm trying to say is that we can set up such a system. It will be a small amount of money compared to the 388 million which we're talking about. And then we can replicate it for most of our trouble spots. And then we go on, and before we know, we probably are covering the entire network, and we can deal with it, because it's also part of the management of the network. It's not only designing and paying for the work or looking for maintenance. It's the management is also part of the responsibility of the road authorities. Thank you.
This particular project has operation and maintenance set up under it. Is there? It's part of it.
It's part of it. Incident management.
Yes.
And
yes.
Good, great. There's one more here.
My name is Ibedeza Ajayuputi from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. I have two issues. One is a question, is a suggestion. My question is, we keep on saying Accra-Tema motorway, is it 27 kilometers or 19.5? And the terms of reference, is it end-to-end? Because in the past, we know that toe boot to toe boot. And the current toe boots are not the original position of the toe boot. So the 19.5, is it Accra? Is it Tema motorway that we know up to Ashin or the 27? Where is the actual reference point? So that when we are answering certain questions, why some are saying it's 27, some are saying this thing. Then the second one is a suggestion. In the past, I know no car can make a U-turn on the motorway because we have, in between the two dual carriages, we have what? A trench, a very deep one. Now, if that particular trench is silted, we have excavators. Why don't we excavate? I know you excavate, they fill with a deeper truck, then they get their road. But until they stop filling, we will also not stop excavating. And then even the excavation, I think we should make it deeper.
No, right now, let me tell you, to fill it, a tipper truck is around 700. So then maybe you have some smuggling good to pass there. That's why you go and fill it. Why you go and fill it and leave it for others to use. So let's excavate deeper that they cannot make the U-turn. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
I'm ASP William Mahira, Shaman Divisional MTT Commander. I have observed something on Motorway for quite a long time that I think we need to fix it. If you are driving on the motorway, there is no parking slot, both direction. Okay. If I'm driving on motorway and my car develops fault, where do I park? If I leave the car on the road, another car will come and run into it. So I'm suggesting to the engineers that this time around, they have to add value to the place. They have to, at least every 6 kilometers, there should be a parking slot. So that if my car develops fault, I can manage and park off the road so that it will never create any problem. That's my suggestion. Yeah.
The motorway project is called Accra-Tema Motorway and extensions. The extension is from Tetepashi to Apenkwa and Apenkwa to Yupa. If you put all that stretch together plus the 19.5, that is what makes it 27.7 kilometers. So, but the motorway project, as we are doing tomorrow, is the design of the entire 27 kilometers, but the construction of the 19.5 motorway, including remodeling of the and Shiashi and the section from Tetepashi to Apenkwa, including interchanges at Fiesta Royale and Apenkwa interchange completion. And then the third phase is protected from encroaches all this while. You try, we cut your head off. But if you go to the median now, there are big boulders. You've seen them. There are bollards. There are trenches. There are heaps of sand. We've done everything, including crash barriers. But it is 19-point-something kilometers. The truck driver comes to reverse. I did it for 5 years. That is how the white hair came. Because every day, my chief will call me, Collins, I saw this on the motorway. Collins, I saw this on the M1. Collins, I saw this. So you are running around. By the time I left, I was being classified as a foreman. I was no more a director. Foreman, because Accra, you have to run around. That is how I got in contact with Chief Inspector Amo, who helped us greatly. You have any trouble, Apenkwa up to Tetepashi or up to New Plan, you want dog, he will bring you. And we will give you, the law says that you shall compensate the authority for any damage. You will make sure that you pay, or you can take your car. If you die, your people will come and pay. So that is the enforcement part. I will also urge our brothers to help us with. The powers have been given to them. If you saw something and you see something, somebody must respond. And they are the only people who can respond. So if you tell us that this man has damaged this, who will go and pursue him? Recently, because of the overpass that we are doing at, if you realize there have been some new gantries, go and see. The people are standing there trying to fix it. 4.5 has been posted, 1 kilometer, 500, and even 300. If you don't run for your dear life, they kill you. They crash into your load limit is 4.5 maximum. So you do 4.3 or 4 meters. This guy is coming with 6. And he wants to go through, and he can see an obstacle in front of him, but he's still coming. We put one at the mall. Go and see. What, do they want to go and crash into the construction? You can't believe it. Even the tunnel underpass at why can't you read? So if the people can read, why are we going to put signs for them to implement it as a something? Cattle crossing is a something. So, brother, the first rule of law enforcement is obedience. If you don't obey, I didn't obey some law in the US, I got $300 a student. But what is it here? They even call and say, I want you to speak to the policeman. It's powerful. Police. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. You can go.
Okay, thank you very much. We're beginning to wind up, so I am going to go back to online, take a few questions, and then we'll do a couple here and we'll wind up. But before we go, I mean, colleagues, you've mentioned tomorrow, in quotes, the project will start. I've heard some figures, but I want you to be a bit more detailed. Are you going to build 6-lane motorway, 3 here, 3 here, concrete? And then you have service lanes, which may hopefully also be concrete with all these interchange. What exactly are you talking about so that we are clear?
Well, you see, maybe I should make myself a little clear. The project conception is quite an arduous task. Tomorrow, we are setting out the relocation of the major facilities that has to be relocated. There is a big pipeline that is crisscrossing, about 4-kilometer stretch of it. There is electricity lines through left and right that way. Even though our pillars have been positioned, and the pillars were done by Dr. Abedi. Yes, it is named Bashiru Pillars. He was working directly with Chief, and they designed it. It's red and white. I was just a young man. I didn't know what. We were just following it and helping it be planted. It's there up to Central University. You can see it, but somebody can build his house and cross the road with his wall. And the next time you come, he has built a more powerful shops that you can break, even though you saw the pole. Some have even built around it. It's there. So that is what we are doing. Tomorrow, we are setting out to do the relocation, which has to be done before you see major construction. Contractor has started preparing his place for his camps. So that is why tomorrow we are starting. We don't have a choice. This is a major project.
Hello, thank you. So we're going online now, please. After online.
very effective safety measures to protect the public. Because it's going to be, you said 3 years. And I hope that we'll ensure that the contractor has put in place the right kind of safety measures to protect the public. The second point is back again to the classification of the motorway. It's no longer a motorway. There's nothing you can do about it. The pavement is gone. Whatever change impact assessment we want to do, let us do it. But I think in certain jurisdictions, this road would have been closed to the public. You can't even use it. Whether it's 60,000 people on one life, it's too much to be joking with this. So let's put in place the measures that will protect the public. It's very important. We are saying 36 people die every month, 36 families a year. I mean, that's serious. It's a serious matter. So the safety of the public is paramount. If we can't do it safely, let's not do it at all. That's the point. If we can't do it safely, let's not kill ourselves. No. So those are my 2 points. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Emelo Fori, the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. I want to suggest something with regards to the test. With the era of technology and AI, I believe that with all the things that are being stolen, we can install trackers in them, GPS trackers in them. So with the street lights, whether it's price barriers or whatever, there is a way you can install trackers in them. And there are so many, some of them as tiny as SIM card. You can install these trackers. They are not too big. And when it's stolen, it can be tracked. So you get to know whoever took it, at least follow through with the security personnel. Thank you.
Well, we've taken your suggestions on the tracking thing, and we explore the possibility of using it. But I also want to draw your attention to the hunter and then the bird. The thieves, these days they take your phone, they strip it, they remove all the things that they want. The ones they don't want, they throw it away. So we know what exactly they caught anybody yet.
Thank you. I see that Professor Charles Adams has his hand raised. So, Prof, if you have a question for us, please put it forward.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. I think I've been following the discussion, and a lot of what I wanted to say have been covered, but I'm not clear about something. My colleagues already mentioned that tomorrow everything will be fine, the road will be built. But we also know that it will take not less than 3 years to implement whatever plans you have. That is if all the money is available. And we are in Ghana, we know that no road really gets that completed on time. So we are talking about maybe 5 to 10 years possibly. But I also heard a lot of wonderful suggestions about improving safety, road line marking, street lighting, putting road signs. And patching the potholes and maintaining the carriageway, managing pedestrian crossing, speed enforcement, or because the law says that the maximum speed and all over the world, apart from maybe the maximum. If the maximum is too fast to make it safe, you can do something about it by posting a sign. But the law says that. But if it's unsafe, we thought we could put a sign to make sure that the public is safe. Then we've about management of access, we're managing the right of way itself to make sure that people don't do whatever they like within the right of way. When we talk about indiscipline, and then unavailability of parking and stopping and all those things. Are we saying that we can't make a plan for any of these with serve the public in 5 years, and we have to wait for the road to be completed tomorrow before we can enjoy a safe and whatever? Because as engineers, I thought this meeting was about bringing nice ideas so that we can see how we can use it to move forward. As it is now, yes, we just have to wait for tomorrow, and then some magical whatever maybe will happen in 3 years, but more likely in 10 years because funding issues. So we will take these points and then figure out, for example, patching and marking and lights and signs. These are important. Can we, public, help the road authority to advocate and get the money to do some of these things in the short to medium term? How can they also work to reduce the maximum speed so that the public can be safe? And then we all work together to make it happen. But I didn't hear any of that from the authority.
You are not just coming to tell us tomorrow to start and then you go scot-free. We'll be keeping an eye on what's going on, bringing you back from time to time, together with the policeman and the safety man and the data man. All come and tell us the progress that we are making. So, Mr. Wahu, your closing remark.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think it's been interesting. And from National Road Safety Authority, we will just say that we'll continue with the sensitization as we already do. We have various media that we employ when we are doing our sensitization, including one-on-one billboards, TV, social media, and all that. So we'll continue and intensify our sensitization. I would only want to ask for this opportunity, which sometimes we get on projects. Then since the motorway reconstruction is starting tomorrow, I think it is time, this is the right time to involve National Road Safety Authority in the planning and the implementation of the project. And we've done it before. Equia is there. We have been on several projects with her. Yes. Yes, and then as the chief director said, chief executive said, it is important to protect
so drivers should continue to speed and kill people, or say that we have to compromise on mobility to save life. I believe that if we should have a mixture, put in measures to save lives.
Do our best as the state of the motorways is. Easy. But this time we will manage it because we will have more resources to do the management. You only have to bear with us and don't drive your normal 120 because the motorway is downgraded anyway, whether we like it or not, except that we are not posting them. So please continue to support us and we will deliver the goods for the country and everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for attending this dialogue. And we at GHIE, we do not dialogue just for dialoguing's sake. We take it forward and drive it to the end so that we can all benefit from the dialogue.
Without
concerned. And this is something that, like Edie said, we do not just end it here. We have done something on reinforcement. We've issued a notice, and it has even been published in the papers. So we are not really joking, as I started by saying. And I know, we know, I work in the road industry, and I know the challenges that you have. And then when we begin to help you articulate some of these things, it will get to the powers that be. And I know at the end of the day, it will be successful, and we'll all enjoy in whatever we are doing as an institution. And I want to crave your indulgence, and especially when it comes to issues of the institution. Please pay your subscriptions, but that is the way we are able to thrive. A lot of the time you say, oh, hey, institution, what are they doing for us? You are the institutions. So on this note, the day after tomorrow, that is Thursday, we've all heard about the lithium, mining of lithium. We are going to have another dialogue in lithium mining. So that is going to be at 5 p.m., 5 p.m. after hours. So please come again and let us dialogue. We hear a lot of things on radio, but we want to hear from the horse's own mouth. Thank you very much. Oh God Almighty, please kindly let us say a word of prayers to conclude. Oh God Almighty, we thank you for a successful day. We thank you that you've guided us through our programs, and at the end of the day, glory is being given to your name. We ask for your blessings and your guidance as we live here. Take us along and protect us and bring us back at our next discussion. We thank you for blessing us. Amen.